In silence, we stare at each other as he slowly backs away, keeping eye contact, then suddenly turns and disappears down the hall. Taking a breath, I stare at her with a different perspective, coming to terms with the thought that she is not lost to the ages, but is alive, only to be lost again in some mysterious circumstance. I wonder if you know how she navigates the world at all. Beauty is a blessing and a curse, never knowing who to trust or what the motive. Smiling at the wrong person can bring grief beyond reasonable thought. Laughing at the wrong time brings unwanted expectation. A beautiful woman must survive each day with little to no rest from the onslaught of unwanted attention and the eager pressing of the animal within the fleshly man. The lone pork chop, if you will, thrown in with a hungry pack is not exaggerated. Beauty cannot pause as mortals do, but must be ever vigilant, deciphering the intentions of others. Even when surrounded by women, beauty has no rest. The endless comparisons begin to flood the only dry place left to stand, passed around the room with eyes that are vicious and cutting, like unsightly frost burn on a flower petal. Everyone wants to be beautiful, but would die 1,000 deaths to rid themselves of the burden. To be lovely is divine, to be fair is cherished, to be comely is a blessing, but to be beautiful is torment. Look at her. When she walks into a room, all heads turn to catch a glimpse. The energy would light the halls of 1,000 houses on 1,000 hills, but scarcely light a lonely room at day's end. Even in sleep, beauty has no rest. In the recesses of the mind where dreams are made, a constant struggle exists between virtue and truth, to count beauty as the last precious commodity. Dreams may come to fill our hearts with promise, but the waking hour is sobering, lacking any course for change. There is something about her, the painting, the necklace, the miserable bohemian, that is sucking me in. Not unlike a car wreck on the side of the road, it's horrible and bloody, even gruesome, but you still slow down to have a look at the unfortunates. What is it inside of us that wants to see someone else's misery? Does it make us feel alive, even thankful that it's not me lying on the side of the road? All I know is this. I'm on the 3 o'clock ferry to search out the pub and grub where she worked. I just want to see if I can feel her in the present. Maybe overhear some of the stories about her proclivities in nature. Perhaps a drunkard with a bullwinder is all I will get, but it's a few steps closer knowing the girl in the portrait. Ambrose said he touched her once. Maybe that's what I'm trying to do. By the time I arrived, it was clear that after-work crowd was in full throat. Cigar and pipe smoke wafted through the beer mugs and collected in the cedar beams. A hint of vanilla and cherry mellowed in my philtrum and caused my nose to itch. The tables were full, so I grabbed a spot at the bar and was engaged by a mountainous man the bartender called Tug. His hands engulfed the beer mug he was drinking from, making it look miniature. His fingers looked like an outcropping of bananas waiting to ripen. Before I could nod, he said in a quiet voice, "This chair's reserved." Looking around, I could see it was the only empty stool at the bar. Slowly, I peel myself off the seat and search the room for an empty place to sit. There is nothing but staring faces. The crowd noise has dimmed to a whisper, with quiet expectation, as if I was the master clown at a 3-ring circus, and at any moment flowers would pop out of my hat and my oversized shoes would catch on fire. Suddenly, the big man breaks the silence. "Nobody sits in that chair." The crowd whispers in agreement with mocking chatter. "No one has sat in that chair for over a year. Since you're a stranger, you'll get one warning and a trip to the alley dumpster. Boys, throw him in. Suddenly, I am swarmed by several men who gather me up to the cheers of the gallery. Kicking and squalling, I soon realize that fighting them is useless. Raising me up in the air, they open the back door with my head. Immediately, the smell of rotten fish paints my throat, and I'm dangled over the dumpster. I could see pounds of fish heads littering among the guts. Like trying to hold back a sneeze, the vomit is rising in my throat until I can't breathe, and then I hear someone say, "Stop!" As they lower me to my feet, the fear subsides, and the vomit flows down the front of my chest. Bent over and retching, my eyes slowly raise to the dumpster. A single man catches my attention from the corner of my eye. "You fool," he says. Turning, it is Ambrose from the gallery. If I thought for a minute you would show up here, I would have warned you. Wait, how did you get here? The ferry's only I have a small cabin cruiser I take back and forth to town. I try to make it to the tavern a few days a week. These people tried to assault me. Assault? This is nothing. The last fellow lost his teeth. I did nothing. Why would they do this? I did nothing. You sat in her chair. Who? What? Alexandria's chair. What is she, a witch? Careful, boy. You might get yourself hurt bad. Everyone in the pub has a story to tell and a heart full of love for that girl. Some things can be taken too far. If you had met her, and God is my witness, you would feel the same. You're here, aren't you? And all you've done is look at her in a painting. Now imagine Andy sitting next to you, skin smelling like fresh flowers, hair black as a raven's wing, a smile that starts a morning and stays with you till bedtime. Her voice, the way she turns a phrase, is like poetry. Now picture her pouring you a tall one and listening to your every word as if life depended on it. And every day, just for a few moments, she makes you feel like the most important person in the world. And suddenly, she's gone without a word to leave you to yourself. When folks go home at night, they take Andy with them, like she's family. There is a wound that can't be healed, a void that can't be filled, a broken heart that still has to go on beating. You can't blame them for wanting the pain to stop. People like you are just a reminder that it's still there. Can you understand that, mister? Like you said, I came here chasing part of her too. Well, let's get you cleaned up and I'll introduce you around. They're really a friendly bunch.